As per my Choccy Croccies, these are mine to sell because they were paid for with my credit card.
All right, Bethany, I'm very sorry, love, but it's not for sale, so I'm just... No.
Yes,
That's
it
okay.
is.
Get your hands off my lamp.
I will...
Get your hands off my lamp!
No!
Give it to me!
No!
Give it to me!
Mary, enough!
Oh!
Do you know what? I think I'm actually just going to leave it.
No, Bethany, no. Your whimsical lamp girl aesthetic depends on it.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 416 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that was disgusted by the show this week and definitely expected a warning before being forced to watch ketchup being scooshed into tea. I'm Gavin.
And I'm glad that I never stopped buying masks.
Oh, it's like 2021 all over again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, only this time I can take the masks off when I go inside a building to talk to people, which is kind of the opposite of the COVID mask. It's the smoke mask.
It's smoky in Michigan.
It's very
it kind of
smoky in
smells
Michigan.
like burnt Canada out there at the moment.
I said, I told my boss it smells like 1,000 men in heaven smoking cigars.
See, when it first started on Thursday
Morning.
Was it just yesterday?
Yeah.
And I got up and I could just smelled like burnt toast. And I thought, oh, well, I guess I'm having a stroke then.
Topical.
And then just, yeah.
Go outside and you're like, oh, no, it's smoke from Canada and Minnesota. I want to stress that the fact that some of the smoke is coming from Minnesota. It's not all Canadian.
I prefer the Canadian smoke.
Well, because there's a lot of Americans who seem to think that Canada is doing it on purpose. So
Those wily Canadians.
I just want to enforce that it's Minnesota as well. So
Right.
Don't just blame Canada.
Boom, tish. How are you this week?
Apart from fearing for my lungs, I've been okay.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week. It's been a nice week. We have a huge project coming up at work that I'm terrified about because I just want it to go well, and I'm afraid it's not going to go well.
Pensive auction talk. Is it going to happen before you go off on vacation?
Oh, God, no.
Oh, okay.
It'll start, and then it will be ongoing while I'm gone, which terrifies me.
Ah.
And then this is going to be a many month-long project because we have a consignment that's a 7,000 square foot antique store, and there are only 4 of us.
Well, I'm not helping. I'm busy.
No, you are busy. You'd be no help anyway.
Oh, well.
You don't know the first thing about antiques. How are you?
I enjoyed telling the people at work that next week I'll be in for 4 days, and then I'll be off for a week, and then I'll be off for another day, and then I'll be back in for 4 days. This is the longest vacation I've had this year, and I still have 6 weeks of paid vacation time
Not long
to
enough.
take.
Not long enough.
And I've only got 5 months left in which to spend it.
You should take just the whole of December off.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that, but I will be taking the last week off in December, which I always do anyway.
Right, yes. We could just go away for 2 weeks. You want to just go for 2 weeks?
It's a bit late now. All right. Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Now, you're not going to do Corrie News, are you?
I'm not going to do Corrie News, no.
And here's the reason why Helen's not going to be doing Corrie News.
Because there's no news. I lie.
And we had the absolute delight earlier on this evening chatting to a friend of the podcast, Christie, who is the founder of the SOAR initiative in Canada, which is a small non-profit that focuses on the long-term healing of survivors of sexual violence. And she joins us to talk about the Betsy storyline in a little bit of detail from her perspective on it, which we very much appreciated. So
yes.
We spend like about 20-25 minutes talking to Christie, so in an effort to keep this below 2.5 hours, we're foregoing Corrie news. But I'm still going to press the little thing anyway. There we go. Okay, now it's preamble. But we're going to jump
No
straight.
news.
We're going to jump straight into the feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Amy writes, I've been meaning to write this for a long time, but I think I've finally managed to align the timing of the apparently significantly delayed Canadian broadcast with your episodes. I was so delighted by the camaraderie and company that my initial confusion about the content was second fiddle. After a few months of spoilers, I think I've finally found the sweet spot and can listen in real time, having just finished this week, Friday, July 10th, and aligning it with the June 12th episodes. I initially joined because I needed to discuss Todd and Theo. That storyline went on far too long and was too realistic and upsetting. I just wish that some joy was allowed for the folks of Weatherfield. It's been bleak. How many of the residents have been to prison? It's a lot for one place. Thank you for what you do and the injections of joy you offer the world. You hear that, Helen?
Yes.
Injections of joy.
Injections of joy
On a
indeed.
global scale.
On a global scale, that's right.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Because the globe is the United States and Canada.
All about New Zealand.
And Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Cindy says, Gavin, bravo for going and getting yourself tested for your health.
Oh,
It's
you.
great to hear that you're taking care of yourself.
Good job, Gav, for finally listening to your wife, but only after a male doctor also said the same thing.
That's right. The Christina storyline seems to be following a month or more behind the story on EastEnders. On EastEnders, B was secretly using Honey's info to get credit for her purchases that was not for a profit per se. B was not selling what she purchased for financial profit anyway. These soaps seem to mirror each other. I feel like there is some type of overall script that all the soaps receive to include in their storylines throughout the year, like Emmerdale with Aaron and John, then there was Todd and Theo, etc. I've no idea, but their storylines typically mirror each other within a few months. Yeah, I heard about that EastEnders thing. That does seem kind of uncanny. Tara writes, Doran was actually born in the UK. Alina did go back to Romania, but moved to Hastings before Doran was born. Was it Hastings where her mother was or something? I guess that clears any red tape for Alina to just permanently leave Doran with Tyrone and Fizz. You'd think that they could include a throwaway line about Alina being otherwise occupied or something to explain her absence. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Right, yes.
Just mention her name, mention that Doran spoke to her, or something like that. But we're 15 months on, people.
Right, yeah, if David can, call Gail on the phone, they can get Alina on the phone occasionally to speak to her son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All we need is Doran with a phone to his ear shouting.
Shouting, Mama!
That's, oh, God.
Mama!
He's a sheep.
No, that would be Baba!
Oh, okay. As for Ross blackmailing Cassie, how absolutely pathetic. What sounds worse? Your mum was a drug-addled underage prostitute, or I paid to have sex with a drug-addled underage prostitute? Hopefully Tyrone immediately ditches this joker once that information comes to light. Agreed.
I feel like we're getting there, but Cassie, when she was talking to Steve about it, and I mean, we'll talk about this later, obviously, she doesn't mention how old she is, or she was.
No, and I still don't know if we know.
And she's, she talks about being passed around by a boyfriend for money, that it wasn't her necessarily, it was the boyfriend.
Right.
But the age is still unclear to me, how old she was.
And then Cheeky writes, I just started watching and someone needs to give Sydney Martin an award. Her acting at the beginning of the storyline is beyond superb and heartbreaking, especially considering the age she is portraying. It was absolute class. The acting by Alison King and Vicky Myers was also first rate and unfortunately believable given the situation. We all know how Betsy got it into her head that any specific activity she did was the right thing to do. That internet is a dangerous place full of ideas but lacking concrete details and solutions. When something looks fun and is planned out, people will probably do it. And I think that's exactly what happened here. They've had the worst possible blueprint. On another note, I don't like the Ross storyline. I think it's pointless. However, it does prove that Tracy will literally take anyone, which never stops being hilarious. Thank you very much, Cheeky.
Agreed.
And thank you to Cheeky, to Tara, to Cindy, and to Amy for their feedback this week. Very much appreciated. It's always welcome. Send us your thoughts and I'll probably read them out. Get us at the talk of the street at gmail.com, or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast, or we love it when people write actual letters to us. Send us your proper mail to the talk of the street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan 48827. And please note we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interests of brevity. And now, let's podcast for coffee.
Friend of the podcast.
Welcome aboard, Anthony.
Anthony. And Sir Anthony Hopkins, maybe?
Yes, I think so.
He does like to watch Corrie.
So I've heard. Anthony has joined on Patreon.
Ah.
Thank you very much for joining our illustrious band of friends of the podcast. Anthony, you're very welcome. Unfortunately, the Patreon doesn't make it clear that you can write us a little note that we can then read out and welcome you on, but it matters not.
Maybe Anthony didn't want to write us a little note.
And that is absolutely fine.
Perfectly valid.
Welcome aboard either way.
Yes.
I genuinely give you a wee fright.
Friend of the podcast.
Welcome to Charlie.
And the chocolate factory?
Yes. Hey, Charlie. Welcome, Charlie.
Little Charlie Bucket.
Our other new friend of the podcast. Charlie joins on Ko-Fi, so has left a little message.
Oh, nice. Do they mention their love of everlasting gobstoppers?
You'll find out in a second.
Oh.
Charlie writes, "Hi there from Australia.
Another Australian. I'm so happy.
I thought it was about time I contributed to your entertaining podcast. I've only been listening since late 2024. That's still a while.
Yeah.
After becoming obsessed with Swarla, and when Coronation Street podcast mentioned your podcast, I was on board."
Oh, Aussie Alley giving us an oi, oi, oi shout out.
It's a referral. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you to Aussie Alley then.
Yes.
I don't watch Corrie in full, so I love listening to you both every weekend to keep up with what's going on. Thanks for the laughs. Cheers, Charlie. Well, thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for becoming a friend of the podcast. The Talk of the Street is and will always be free on your podcast provider and in the YouTubes, but if you think a show is worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, and if you want to show your appreciation, or if you want more weekly, monthly content, check out the links in this episode description, or head on over to corriepodcast.com. Click on Support the Pod and then Friend of the Podcast, and for $2 a month you get access to our weekly spoiler show, The Talk of the Street Spoiler Alert, and our monthly classic Corrie show, The Talk of the Street Classics. For our July episode, we're talking about episode 1434 from October 1974, and we need to get
We seriously do,
our
because
asses into gear.
we watched that episode weeks ago.
Right. And if that wasn't enough, you get access to our Discord server and a shout out at the end of each and every episode. Alright, shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
The storyline's come in a kind of weird fashion. I am going to leave the Betsy stuff to the end. That's not how we ended the episodes this week, but for this week we're going to pretend that it was. Okay?
Yes.
And at the end of us talking about that, we'll hear from our Christie. But we will start with a bitter Oakhill to swallow.
Haha. You going to push the button?
Not yet.
Oh.
On Monday, it's Joseph's school report day from fancy Oakhill.
Oakhill. Oakhill. Oakhill.
Now I'm going to press the button.
Oakhill, 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 Oakhill.
But everyone is too focused on the quads to give much of a fuck about that. Chesney even dingies a call from Granny Linda.
See, Lily? This is a kid who should be complaining about his younger siblings, not you. Shut up and stop being selfish.
Do you know, I had cause to watch one of those older episodes where Lily was complaining about it's all about the baby. And every time I see it, I just get more and more infuriated with her.
Yeah,
I'm glad we haven't seen any of that shite for a while.
agreed.
When the report card comes through, it seems that Joseph is a bit of a dum-dum. When Ches and Gemma see it, Gemma goes Raj, blames the teachers. Ches doesn't seem to care though, as all he wants is to be left alone. to age quietly and eventually die.
Don't we all feel that way sometimes?
Mm-hmm. Some of us feel that way right now. On Tuesday, Gemma is worried that the madhouse is what's responsible for Joseph's bad report and outstanding homework. Not that kind of outstanding. When Dev learns that the project is about running a small business, he's like, well, I'm right here.
Right?
And he takes Joseph under his wing and produces a fucking top-notch project.
And he's the most Dev about it he could possibly be.
Yeah, I had trouble understanding him at some point.
He is such a proud papa.
Jez, who attempted to be light-hearted with this now talkative brood of quads, has some troubling news. Granny Linda is broke and can no longer afford to pay for Joseph's education. His time at Oakhill might be coming to an end unless they can sell a fucking enormous amount of kebabs real quick. Ches promises to think of something. On Thursday, Ches's idea is to get an $8,000 loan out, but Gemma is very much against this idea. And as they're discussing financial information in Dev's store, Bernie is there to agree with her daughter. But she's also there to suck on the thoughtful tooth.
Yes.
Later, Dev and Bernie go round to the courthouse and announce that they'll take out the personal loan to pay for Joseph's school fees. And Ches and Gemma can pay it back at their leisure, which means never. Gemma is still against going into debt for this and says, fuck Joseph, you can just go to Weather High. Excuse me, what? Says Joseph, who has grown 3 feet since we last saw him and has heard the end of this, and Ches and Gemma grab their collars. He doesn't want to go back to Weather High. He's quite happy at Oakhill with his fancy uniform.
And his fancy friends.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he wasn't sure? When he was afraid he was going to get picked on by his fancy friends?
Why did they end up going in the first place? Just because Granny Linda thought it was... Oh, it was because he was failing physics or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. He would get a better education at Oakhill.
He's so grown up now with his different haircut.
Yeah, and a jacket that fits him.
But come Friday, as Joseph is worrying about getting bullied at Weather High, Gemma and Chesney burst into Nina's rolls to tell him that crisis averted. Granny Linda has been able to sell an organ or two, and she has committed to funding his education to GCSE. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Bernie gives the family a wee look.
GCSE? Fund his education to GCSE?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Oakhill.
GCSEs is the type of exam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that confused me for a second.
In Scotland, I would call that the O-level exam. That's the kind of first exam that you take. And then in Scotland, you go into your higher, and in England, you go into your A-levels, your advanced levels. But this is a general certificate in cunting education or something. I don't know what the C stands for. Bernie gives the family a wee look that tells us everything we need to know. But just because we viewers can't be trusted to pick up on this, we get another scene of the Joseph and his parents and Dev's buying snacks and some presents to send to Granny Linda. Presents from Dev's. No offence, but Granny Linda's generosity is worth far more than what I can buy in your stinking shop, Dev, says Chesney. No offence.
Right, yes. It's like, no, Granny Linda deserves much higher quality chocolates than these.
Mm-hmm.
I do love, though, that in the beginning of this whole storyline, Gemma is buying Choccy crocodiles.
Choccy Croccies is the theme for the week.
It is. And it's the cereal of the week.
It is.
Because it comes up in another storyline.
All the time. I don't think... Have we seen Choccy Croccies before?
I don't think we have. I didn't know that they existed. Do they exist, or is it just a thing on the show?
Just a thing on the show, I believe. I can't imagine people wanting to eat a chocolate crocodile, though.
Why not? Choccy Croccies.
It's all pointy. And people shouldn't be eating chocolate at breakfast time anyway.
You shut your mouth and let me have my Cocoa Puffs. Or actually, no, it's special. It's the delightfully chocolate Special K now, when I'm lucky and I need a treat.
The advertising in the UK for Cocoa Puffs was, Cocoa Puffs are so chocolatey, they even turn the milk brown.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was pitched as a positive thing.
Right, yeah, because it makes it chocolate milk.
It makes your milk look like shitty water.
It makes your milk look like chocolate milk, because it is.
Anyway.
Here they don't say it turns the milk brown. It says, even the milk turns to chocolate.
Yeah, they say brown in the UK, or they did, and that's
and the
not a good word.
mascot is A monkey with
Yes.
an Australian accent?
A cheeky wee chimp.
Yeah. It was a monkey because it had a tail. Chimps don't have tails. This one was a monkey that like swung on his tail while eating Cocoa Puffs.
I can't remember if the...
Oh no, you know what? That wasn't Cocoa Puffs. That was Cocoa Krispies. That
Yeah.
even the milk turns chocolate. That was Cocoa Krispies. That wasn't Cocoa Puffs.
That was Cocoa Puffs in the UK.
Because Cocoa Puffs is... I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs is the cuckoo bird. But the Cocoa Krispies did have an Australian monkey.
I'm so confused right now.
Me too.
After they've left, the obvious is confirmed that Dev and Bernie, but mostly Dev, are paying Granny Linda so that Ches and Gemma will accept the money from her. And Granny Linda gets all the praise and presents that the Winter Browns can now afford. And that's as far as we get with that this week.
There's a store in Huntsville, Alabama called Chocolate Crocodile.
That's great to know.
It is great to know. The Chocolate Crocodile. See, so people do associate chocolate with crocodiles.
Where did you say? Alabama?
Huntsville, Alabama,
Yes.
where I went to space camp.
Alabama Space Camp. Have I made a joke about the shuttle being up on bricks yet?
Yes,
Have I?
but there's a space center in Alabama. It's like the one. I don't
Anyway,
want to say
no.
what I'm going to say.
Okay. Tell us what you think about this storyline then.
I mean, it's kind of cute.
We thought it was going to be a poverty porn story, and
Right.
it didn't become that, so that's
no,
good.
so yeah, that's good. And it's kind of cute that Bernie and Dev are in cahoots with Granny Linda for all of this. It does kind of piss me off, though, that Gemma and Chesney, like, were like, no to Bernie and Dev offering them money, offering them a loan that they can pay back in their own time. But they're so very happy to take Granny Linda's money.
Poor Granny Linda, who they know yesterday was broke. So they know that her financial situation is, at best, volatile. If she goes from having money to not having money to having money again within like 48 hours. And yet they're still happy to take her money rather than taking Dev's money. I'm like, where did Dev get the money? But it being a personal loan, I think, kind of explains that away. Because he's still paying money every month to keep Asha's photographs off the internet.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming he's still paying because the internet is forever.
Mm-hmm.
Although she's an adult now, she can pay for her own pictures to get taken off the internet.
Yeah, I'm sure she's
I'm sure
she's doing that.
she's not doing that.
No. So, it did seem, though, this has been resolved so super quickly there has to be another twist in the tale, and sure enough it's Bernie and Dev funding this whole thing. I assume at some point they're going to get found out. But my main disappointment is, of course, that we don't see the wonderful Jackie Leonard reprising the role of Granny Linda.
I miss Granny Linda.
I didn't even know that she went back to Portugal.
I think we did know that.
She'd moved to the area, hadn't she? She'd moved to the area, and Ches and Gemma were sick of the sight of her.
Yeah, and I think that's why she moved back to Portugal.
Anyway, good for Joseph. He's going to his fancy posh school with his fancy posh friends and getting some kind of education. We did see Gemma making a little diorama separately for a 6-year-old.
Right,
and
yes.
Benny was quite impressed that it looked like it'd been made by a 6-year-old, and that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Why are the adults all doing the children's homework for them, though?
Who knows? I think Joseph helped with that project with Dev, because that poster looked like Joseph made it, not Dev.
I don't know, the way that he
It was cut and
unfurled
paste.
it, Bev looked
Bev?
Dev looked super proud of the whole thing. Bev Callard had nothing to do with it.
No, she didn't.
She's still sitting in a 1980s airport somewhere.
No, she's running a pub in Ireland.
Oh, of course, she's moved on.
Yes.
Next up, it's the Daddy Issues storyline.
Yay.
On Monday, Dev gives Tyrone his lucky golf club ahead of his round with Ross later, and I love the way that Dev just... The golf club appeared out of nowhere like a magic trick.
It just popped right up. Mm-hmm. And that's what she said.
Indeed. Cassie worries that Tyrone's back won't be up for it. That's what she said. But Tyrone doesn't want to cancel now as Ross, a man he doesn't know, might be offended.
Tyrone, it was like 2 months ago you were in a wheelchair, bud. Take it easy.
Yeah, worried that he was never going to walk again.
Yeah.
But Tyrone's back doesn't hold up, and so Ty and Ross are taxied back to the street after one hole.
That's what she said.
Ross goes to Dev's to get paracetamol. That's what she said. While Tyrone moans to Steve about looking like a total fanny in front of his new daddy. Then Ross comes back and he decides everyone's going to the pub to get wrecked, as Dev's told him that Ty has very recently had to learn to walk again.
Right, yes, and he's quite indignant about this. He's like, why didn't you tell me? We did not have to go golfing.
I really thought the way that was conveyed was, it kind of gave me a little shock. It's like, oh, that was as bad as it was. Tyrone did have to learn how to walk again.
He had to learn how to walk again. He was in a wheelchair for ages. They're really getting their use out of their wheelchair budget over at Coronation Street.
Yeah, that's what's meaning that lots of people are having to leave Emmerdale. Meanwhile, Bernie has noticed that Cassie is struggling and the two of them chat. Bernie's advice is to tell Steve, rob Ross of his power, and if Steve walks away, well, he was going to walk away at some point anyway. So Cassie goes to the pub to retrieve Steve and tells him the details, that she came on to Ross in the rape hotel, she tried to get her hole off of him, but he knocked her back, and she only did it because she was totally out of her tits on booze, and she didn't know who he was. This sounds better and better the longer it goes on.
Yes.
And now he's holding it over her. Steve's a bit hurt, mostly because he worries that Ross is funnier than he is, but he tells her to unpack, and the two of them hug, and all is forgiven.
Yes.
On Wednesday, in Ina's Rose, despite being told to leave it by Cassie, Steve approaches Ross and warns him that Cassie belongs to him now, so Ross should keep his filthy mitts off her and also stop bullying her and blackmailing her. Ross insists that he has no interest in Cassie and that he's only here for the son that she kept secret from him. All right then, said Steve.
When was she supposed to tell him?
Right, she didn't know who he was.
Right. Didn't she see him like once and then never again?
Some random mate of her boyfriend's?
Right, and considering the circumstances, I don't think until there was DNA proof that she necessarily knew that he was the daddy.
Right. Later at Dev's,
Poor Cassie.
Later at Dev's, Hope isn't too happy with Cassie thanks to Bernie telling Dev and being overheard by Joseph, who told Hope that Cassie has a secret. Cassie fobs Hope off, but Tyrone and Rob have overheard this, and Tyrone demands to know what that was all about and what she's been so secretive about. Cassie's in the middle of fobbing Tyrone off too, when Ross just blabs that the day before he and Tyrone met, Cassie had made a drunken pass at him in the rape hotel, but he'd knocked her back. He's very, very, very deliberate to say that he knocked her back. Tyrone is furious with his mum and warns her not to fuck this up for him and Ross. Privately, Cassie tells Ross that Tyrone will suss him out sooner or later.
Him and Ross, who last week he told Ross he didn't want anything to do with him.
Exactly. Ross tells her to keep her filthy fucking mouth shut, or he'll tell Tyrone how he was conceived. Like, be my guest.
Go for it, man.
Be my guest.
You don't look great in this scenario either.
The next day, it's Amy's graduation, and when Cassie goes to number one, she's shocked to see Ross there with Tracy, and they're both in their jammies. Like, when did this happen?
Last night, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Amy comes in to see what the hold-up is, and Tracy explains that she and this strange man had full sexual intercourse last night. Amy is beginning to wish that she hadn't invited Tracy at all, and this feeling is magnified when Ken gives her one of Deirdre's brooches as a family heirloom that she can wear during the graduation. Wasn't that lovely?
That was lovely. I really enjoyed that.
After the graduation, Tracy and Ross are canoodling in the booth. Who the fuck is he anyway, says Amy. And Steve explains it's Tyrone's dad. Ooh, says Amy. Your ex. Not quite, says Cassie. When Ross nips off for a shite, Cassie tells Tracy to call Canny where Ross is concerned, but Tracy, predictably, tells Cassie to shove her advice up her arse.
Right!
Up her arse. On Thursday, Tracy and Ross are being deplorable outside number one's front door.
And they're also canoodling.
Which makes Amy throw up in her mouth a wee bit when she and Cassie step out. Tracy thinks everyone is green with envy. We're green with something, says Cassie. Which could have been in another week the line of the week. Later in Nina's roles, Tracy is still very happy to chat to Amy about how much of the sex she's getting from Ross.
That's your daughter you're talking to, Tracy.
It's great that they have this relationship where they can talk about these sort of things to each other, except it's only Tracy. It's only Tracy doing the talking. Amy is sick again and says that she's only known him for a couple of minutes. And then Cassie comes in and she takes pleasure from announcing that she saw Ross going to the bistro with flowers. Isn't that mysterious? In the bistro, Ross, Tyrone, Ruby and Hope are chatting. Ruby gives Ross a warning. There are only 2 people that everyone in the street needs to treat with extreme caution. Tracy, she says, and me, says Hope.
That's right.
An extreme close-up for some reason.
And
very proud.
Very proud.
While Tyrone waits for the ground to eat him up. On Friday, Tracy confronts Ross in Nina's roles, accusing him of having another woman on the go and buying her flowers and then taking her out to the bistro. Fucking hell, needy much, says Ross, and he reveals that the flowers were for Fizz. Oh, says Tracy, and she blames Cassie and tries to swindle a breakfast out of Ross, and he tells her to bolt. He wants to dial this relationship down. And
to 0.
And focus on Tyrone. Tracy takes this well and only scooshes half a bottle of ketchup into his tea. Later, he goes to Tyrone's and warns Cassie to stay out of his business. Likewise, she says, and they start to bicker when Tyrone comes in and he throws Cassie out, telling her that she's doing her best to make sure that he doesn't get to know Ross, and he won't stand for it, you hear? Later in the pub, he tries to apologise to her, but again, she starts sniping about Ross, and Ty doesn't know why he bothered, and he suggests that Cassie get over this one-night stand and move on with her life. Steve, for what it's worth, agrees, so Cassie has to tell him that Ross was one of her ex-boyfriend's mates who her ex-boyfriend pimped her out to, and she would rather Tyrone doesn't know that and doesn't know that this is how he was conceived.
Right.
And that's as far as we get with that storyline this week.
Yep.
I don't trust this Ross character one little bit.
No. And it makes me sad because I remember talking about this on Spoiler Alert and I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun. Tyrone gets another family member. This will be a hoot. And it's not a hoot.
It's not a hoot and a half, certainly.
Not a hoot. I just wish the story was fun. We need a fun storyline. I expected this to be our fun storyline.
This was not our fun storyline.
There are no fun storylines.
The storyline that's meant to be the fun storyline is actually super sad.
The Christina one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is super sad. And it's super sad because Mary is sad. And we are not happy when Mary is sad.
Which I think we'll be talking about next.
Yay! Boo.
But this is, I don't know, I guess I can understand Tyrone's point of view about getting to know his dad and stuff and maybe having a fresh start-ish. But in his 40s, he does seem to be treating this like he would if he was seeing his dad for the first time when he was 14 or something like that. I don't know, he's become...
It's just really confusing because he wasn't like this last week. Last week he's like, look, it's very nice to meet you, but no thanks. I'm too old to need a daddy now.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this week he's different for no reason.
How did we leave it last week?
Last week he invited him to play golf and he was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, that's right.
Sure.
It was the golf invite.
Right.
Yeah, but even then it was
kind of like he had to twist his arm.
And it was only out of politeness that he kept the appointment and didn't cancel it.
Right. And then now he's like, Daddy.
Maybe the two of them just get on well. We don't really see it, so it's difficult to comment on it. That maybe he is a different man when he's with Tyrone, but he's an asshole when he's with Cassie, certainly.
Yeah.
And he's a bit creepy when he's with Tracy as well.
That's true. I don't know.
Although I did like how he had no problem kind of putting Tracy in her place.
Mm-hmm.
Needy much?
Yeah.
Because the two of them have only been seeing each other for a couple of days.
Right, yeah. It's not even an official thing, especially at their age. Right. And I also appreciated that conversation about Tracy and Hope. That was fun.
I did want someone to tell Ross that Tracy has killed somebody.
And she will kill again.
Right. We didn't get that.
No.
I feel we were robbed of that moment a little bit.
Yeah. Then we'd have to go into more detail about Hope, who is not killed yet.
Not yet.
But she will. Give her time.
All right, let's move on then. Our next storyline is Christina Anonymous. On Thursday, there's only a couple of days and a couple of scenes here, but it's sad stuff. On Thursday, Mary is in a sour mood in the morning and wants some restorative justice thanks to Christina's fraudulent activities that were revealed last week. George and Christina, who looked the picture of apologies last week, suddenly seem bored out their tits with us now.
Right, yeah, like, what? I said I was sorry. That should be enough. No, that shouldn't be enough. I get that it is a compulsion that Christina can't necessarily control without help. But the way that they're acting like this hasn't hurt Mary at all, like she should just get over it, is really insulting and quite shocking, especially from George.
I was really shocked at the twist at that too, because last week George was very keen that some wrongs get righted here, and we started with Christina having to come clean about it. And it's all very well him being supportive of Christina, and that's absolutely fine, but when Mary's still upset about it, and she's got reason to be upset about
Right,
it,
yeah.
how dare he be so dismissive
They
of it?
treat her like a joke, which just makes it worse.
Yeah, so they're bored out their tits with this storyline already, but Mary demands some fucking satisfaction, and she takes away her Choccy Croccies cereal from the breakfast table. That was supposed to be communal. Not anymore.
Cereal's communal.
So later, George and Christina get home and they find Amy walking out of their house with a brand new rug under her arm from Mary. And then inside, Bethany's buying a lamp.
With a cheetah print on it.
Bethany love lamp. Christina is outraged that Mary is selling her stuff, but
You
Mary
don't know
points
how
out...
many times in a week I use that meme. I use that meme so many times.
Bethany loves lamp.
Just, I love lamp.
Christina's outraged that Mary is selling her stuff, but Mary points out that it's actually her stuff because it was bought on a credit card and her name, thank you very much. Bethany quickly leaves while Mary and Christina and George wrestle for control of the lamp.
The cheetah print lamp, which they should have let
I
go
thought it was
with Bethany.
grey.
No, it was brown with like black spots on it. It was a cheetah print. The shade was gray, but the lamp itself was cheetah print, which I can believe Christina buying, and I can believe Bethany buying. I liked how Mary's like, "Would you like a bag with that?" And Bethany says, "Yes, please."
Yeah, she's got a whole bunch of
She's
bags
got a whole
ready to
bunch
go.
of bags.
She's prepared.
I love her. I love her so much.
On Friday, Mary is still upset about this and no one seems to give a fucking shit one way or the other what she thinks, and even Todd is bored of the conversation as he irons his smalls in the living room. Later, Mary's putting post-its on all her stuff and says that she feels old and stupid. Christina says that she feels old and stupid and ashamed. Mary says...
Yeah, you're not showing that ashamed part. Maybe if you were showing that ashamed part a little bit more, Mary wouldn't be behaving this way.
Every time she says that she's sorry, she's so unbelievable as she does it.
No.
Because it's all overdone.
Yeah.
I've said I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Well, there's a thing about saying that you're sorry and then showing that
Right,
you're sorry.
yeah,
and
and
if you were
she's
really
like-
sorry, then you would know that Mary deserves to get some kind of restorative justice here.
So indignant with when Mary accuses her of being the one who bought this package that's just come in, which is an oversized box for a very small lint brush.
That George is very excited about.
Yes, because he wears black a lot.
Mary says that she's done a lot of crazy shit in her days, but she's never risked the financial status of her loved ones, and she hopes that George sees what sort of person Christina is. She leaves just as Christina gets a bunch of texts that make her take a deep breath. I wonder what that was about. I couldn't quite see, and I'll...
Text saying that she's got packages on the way, probably.
Was that what it was?
That's what I think it was.
I didn't see. But that's as far as we get with that this week.
Those are great texts when you get them. Like when something from eBay is going to arrive and you get the text early in the morning saying, knock, knock, your package is out for delivery.
Oh, you buy things from eBay?
I buy books from eBay all the time.
I don't think I've bought anything from eBay in 10 years, probably.
Really?
What I used to like was during COVID when you bought something from Amazon and you could track your package, and when they were close enough you could see a wee map with a wee van on it and you could see where they were. That did make me very excited.
Yeah, I
And then
haven't.
the van would just go by and you go, where's my package? Then we come back. I was like, whew.
Yeah, I don't buy anything from Amazon anymore because fuck Jeff Bezos.
I find it impossible not to buy things from Amazon. Just impossible.
Because you don't try hard enough.
You get it the next day. That's worth something. Anyway, yeah, I feel like this is supposed to be the comic relief this week.
Right, yeah.
Because
And
Mary says Choccy Croccies a lot.
Yes. And she acts very merry.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is mean to her and doesn't do anything to assuage her hurt feelings in all of this, and acting like her hurt feelings are ridiculous. And that just makes me sad.
And that, I think, is it. It's not so much the fraud of it or what potential damage this could have done to her credit score and all that sort of real sort of black and white stuff.
Right.
It's the untangible stuff. It's
her
the
hurt feelings. Yeah.
And that's really what the main problem is. And if Christina was a little bit more obvious or sincere in her apologies, then maybe this wouldn't be happening. But poor old Mary is living in a house where nobody fucking cares what she thinks about anything.
No, and that makes me sad. It would be better if Glinda was there as well, because Glinda knows how Mary feels.
Mm-hmm. And also kind of hates Christine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope she gets some resolution from this. You said in the spoilers last week that Christina was going to fall off the wagon a little bit here, so I do presume that is what the texts are about. But
yeah.
Just wasn't all that clear.
I also said that Mary's sale was going to be like outside, like a yard sale. And instead it was inside, and it was so confusing.
And it was a rug and a lamp.
Right, yeah.
I thought the post-its was quite funny because I didn't realise what was happening about that. And then as the camera's on Mary, as she's delivering her little sad speech, there's a little post-it that says Mary that's stuck on something in the background.
On a curtain,
Yeah, that was quite funny.
I liked how, Bethany was complimenting Mary on her Facebook Marketplace photos.
Yes. She's got her game on point.
I want Mary to come work for me.
All right, then. Our next storyline is Theo No Pulse. Quite a bit about this week.
The only thing I'm going to miss when the storyline is over is hearing you say Theo No Pulse, because it's funny every time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On Monday, Swain is popping painkillers like they're going out of fashion, which I think is for the benefit of the final storyline, now that I think about it. The final storyline, there's a sense of who's in the hospital, and they're very careful to have some mystery over that, despite the fact that the spoilers went out like a week beforehand and everybody knew who was in the hospital.
Right, yeah.
But I think we're meant to think in that storyline that there's a possibility it could be Swain.
Why would Swain be popping painkillers?
She said she had a sore head.
Oh. She's been inhaling Canadian smoke.
But when you see a character popping painkillers, you think, oh, this is heading towards an opioid addiction, probably.
Right, yes. Or a stroke. Because if you take too many of those, it can lead to a stroke.
Well, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's doing that when Kit shows up, and he's wanting to chat some more about Gary and Maria and how he reckons they can get Maria to retract her statement, and then that'll put Gary really in the shit. Swain points out that even if Maria did that, it still wouldn't mean that Gary is a murderer. It would just mean that Maria's a liar. And anyway, Kit's been told to back the fuck away from this, so go touch grass, she tells him.
Which is great. Isn't that great? Isn't it great to hear somebody say that to another character? Look, you're too close to this. It's a conflict of interest. Back the fuck off. Should happen more often.
It would happen all the time.
It would.
If they opened the floodgates on it.
It would.
Swain does mention Sarah's injury and how she hasn't ruled out that same person who twatted her threw Joel off the scaffolding, and Kit takes time to observe how Sarah hasn't been herself lately, almost like she has something to hide, Kit, maybe. He doesn't put two and two together, though.
He does not.
And I thought maybe he had been putting two and two together. And it turns out I don't think he was.
Well.
Later, Kit and Sarah are stepping out, and they pass Gary and Maria, who are, as usual, arguing. Separately, Sarah speaks with Maria, who wishes that just one day, Gary would put her and the boys first. And tearfully, she says that she deserves better. You do deserve better, Maria.
You do.
Sarah runs to speak to Gary about this and then to explain how much she's struggling to keep on top of her lies. She doesn't know who she's told what lies to, but Gary tells her just to stick to the plan. She owes him that much.
Does she? Does she though, Gary? Does she owe you anything?
Well, yeah, he's the one that's helped her cover her crime. Surely she shows him some loyalty for that.
I suppose.
Oh, concealing a murder. I suppose that's a tick in a box.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't have done it then, Gary.
Oh, he definitely shouldn't have done it.
You shouldn't have even taken that phone call, Gary. Why did you take that phone call, Gary?
Oh. Who answers the phone these days anyway?
Not me. Unless it's you, because then I know it's important. Because it never happens. If you phone call me, I'm like, oh shit, someone's dead.
I'm glad to know that I have that power. Sarah goes home and Kit has chosen now to propose, saying how she deserves the best and all the love in the world. Will you marry me? I can, says Sarah. Kit worries that this is to do with Gary Flaming Windass, and Sarah confesses that it wasn't Gary, and it wasn't Gary who killed Theo. It was her. He's blown away by this, at the lies, and he quickly figures out that she told Todd before she told him. His main issue does seem to be that he wasn't the first to know this.
Yeah.
He asks if it was self-defence, but suddenly by the way Sarah's talking, it might not sound exactly premeditated, but it doesn't sound like manslaughter either, because she says that she just saw red.
Right. But after he threatened to kill her. She does mention the fact that he threatened to kill her.
That wasn't why she was seeing red, though. She was seeing red because he cast up about baby Billy.
Right, yes. Still can't believe they named that kid Billy.
It was before Billy. And before Paul shoved Mike. That's for sure.
Why would they name Billy Billy then? After Todd has already had a baby named Billy.
You're going to have a few Billies in the show. Billy's a really popular name, isn't it?
Is it? I only know one Billy. Oh, well, technically I know two Billies, but one of them's dead. And my uncle.
There you go.
Yeah, but
Multi-Billies.
Will and William and...
Mac or Buddy.
are far more popular. Thanks, Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, the way she was talking about it's like, yeah, this isn't self-defense at all. This is, he said something that made you angry and you lashed out. So it's not murder in the first degree. It's still not premeditated.
But he also did threaten her life.
She didn't go up there with the intention of killing him.
No. And she did see, she was angry at him for this whole abomination talk. But he also did threaten her life. And he is significantly bigger than her.
Yeah.
So, a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. But the way that she hit it makes it feel a little bit more column A than column B.
Mm. Yeah, she talks about a rage that came over her as he goaded her. Kit wants to know where Gary fits into all this, and through her silence he works out that he knew about this before Kit did too, and he's hacking furious when she tells him that she called him. She couldn't call Kit, she says, because he'd either get into trouble for covering for her, or he'd have to arrest her.
Yeah, but he's already covered for you once, and you guys weren't even having sex back then.
You needed someone strong, Kit says, someone reliable, someone you would trust with your life to help you out, and you called Gary fucking Windass.
Yep.
He throws down his ring,
But I like that.
grabs his keys, and storms out while Sarah thinks, well, that went well. On Wednesday, Kit comes back the next day with no desire to explain his whereabouts the previous night, but after a fashion he puts Sarah out of her misery by confirming that he has no intention of grassing her up or arresting her, but he makes it clear that someone will figure this out sooner or later. And he suggests that they find an alternate truth that they can peddle, and by that he means throwing Gary totally under the bus. Sarah refuses to even contemplate this because, for one, she owes Gary, and for two, she knows he'll just return the favour and then throw her totally under the bus. You got a better idea, says Kit. Sarah suggests confessing, but that would leave Harry 3.0 without a mother, and as if to remind everyone, Harry appears out of his bedroom and waves at everyone.
Wearing his red school sweater in July.
And aren't the schools broken up yet?
Right, yeah, because Joseph was wearing his school blazer as well.
I know
They can't possibly still be in school in July.
The English do break up later than the Scottish schools.
And way later than the American schools.
And Scottish schools went back like a couple of weeks before, because we always went back to school on my birthday or thereabouts.
Oh.
My first day at school was on my birthday.
Oh.
Oh, I was a greeting-faced wee Wayne. I'll tell you that for nothing.
I bet.
And if you need to know what a greeting-faced wee Wayne is, just imagine 5-year-old Gavin crying for his mummy on his birthday.
Because nobody has scrubbed his ass yet in front of the television that day.
You always have to make it a little dirty.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're about going back to school after Labor Day. So, after the 1st of September.
It's usually the week before now, though, isn't it? They moved it.
They moved it, but then they moved it back.
Oh, they did?
And have they moved it back again?
I thought they did.
Don't remember. And then, like, second week of June, we're out. Unless you're graduating from high school, and then, you're out May 31st.
So Harry is either just dressed up in his school uniform because he likes to, or he's actually still in school.
Right.
So Kit rolls out confessing, saying that Sarah will never leave Harry motherless. Sarah says that she'll plead self-defence, but Kit thinks that ship sailed a little bit, that would have worked if she'd gone for
To the
that
police
at
right
the
away,
beginning,
yeah.
rather than let Summer carry the can. He decides the first thing to do is to figure out how much Swain knows. Meanwhile, Sarah goes to tell Gary that she told Kit, and he's fucking furious. She says that he's on their side, but Gary corrects her and says no, he's on her side. She insists that they have nothing to worry about. So with Swain busy in another storyline, Kit goes to the station and starts rooting around her desk, but he has to stop when DC McLaughlin comes in, who he calls Mac.
Of course he does.
She's quietly smug about the progress that they've been making on the investigation now that Kit's not involved in it, and she sends Kit on his way. Get away from Swain's desk, you
Yeah.
dirty boy, and she sprays him with a bottle of
dirty
water.
boy. Yes. And then she swats him with her bagpipes.
Hits him on the nose. Dirty boy.
Yes. Because she's Scottish.
He goes back and tells Sarah that it doesn't look like her name is in the frame, but Gary's definitely is, and it's a matter of time before he gets lifted. Again, Sarah worries about him grassing her up if that happens, and Kit suggests just deny it, and then keep on denying it. On Thursday, it's taken a couple of days, but based on what he knows, Kit thinks it would be a great idea to wipe Sarah's phone of all messages, and he knows a guy who would do it for them. Hopefully it's not the digital forensics guy from the station who is, I think, fucking useless.
Yes. No, this is a guy. This is a dirty guy.
There's a guy on the side.
Right, yeah. So he does things illegally.
Kit points out that unless they do the same to Gary's phone, he's sitting on information that could cost Sarah her freedom. So they call Gary over and ask for his phone, and of course he tells them to suck on his balls. Sarah insists that Kit is doing this in both their interests because Swain is suckling Gary at the minute. Kit makes it clear that he doesn't have anyone's interest at heart here apart from Sarah's, and this honesty seems to help Gary realise that he's got no option, and this is the best offer that he's going to get all day, so he hands over his phone. On Friday, after Sarah leaves for work, Kit gets a call from his phone guy, and rather than let the phone guy do the work and wipe the phone, Kit tells him to grab a backup copy of the data. He's looking for something in particular. It's like, oh, here we go.
On Gary's phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sarah goes to tell Gary the news about the phones being worked on. Then in the meantime, Gary has borrowed one of Jake's old phones, which has Jake as the ringtone. Jake reminds Gary that it's his big presentation at school today. So school hasn't broken up.
No.
And Gary says...
Oh, yeah, and Joseph had that project.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they in school in July? That's inhuman.
And Gary says he wouldn't miss it for the world, and this little demonstration of parental responsibility makes Sarah go, oh. Yeah, we're in the middle of July.
Yeah. And y'all have been having our heat waves over there with no AC. And you're making children wear sweaters in school?
And a brick building that becomes an oven.
Or a blazer? A long-sleeved blazer?
Oh, a Barathea blazer.
Polyester, probably. Doesn't breathe very well.
Barathea.
Y'all are cruel to your children.
I had my blazer when it got wet just stank. It was so bad. You'd want a polyester one in that situation. Back at the flat, Kit's phone guy has done the work Kit requested and has put all the data on a thumb drive that he'll drop off with Kit. And then later, DC McLaughlin meets Swain outside number 6 and gives her an envelope. There's been a breakthrough and D.I. Thompson has given Swain the green light to make the arrest. Swain wants the night to study the case and make sure that she understands it, but then hears Gary's stupid ringtone and sees him walking briskly to the Rovers. Swain sucks a thoughtful tooth and goes indoors, and that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yep.
Well, it's too obvious, isn't it? They keep on having Gary walking by and
Right,
having
yeah, with
cops
that
look at
annoying
him.
phone ring tone. Jake. Who
Jake-
does that?
Jake's
Children,
an asshole,
children don't have ringtones.
don't they?
Nobody has ringtones. When was the last time you heard somebody's phone ring with a ringtone?
Oh, my bosses. It rings all the time.
When's the last time you had a ringtone?
The last ringtone I had was the ringtone from 24. Boop boop be-doo. Boop boop be-doo. Loved that ringtone, man. It made me think it was Jack Bauer.
Yeah. It's like 2009.
Plus, I was torturing people at the time.
Right, yeah. It was like 2009, I think. It was like a part of a Bob Dylan song. I can't even remember which Bob Dylan song it was.
I couldn't tell you what noise my phone would make if you were to phone it.
And you had your ringtone on.
Shall we find out?
Helen Broom.
Oh, it's just a standard ringtone then.
With my name. And then it says Helen Broom. Helen Broom.
Well, that was weird.
I imagine.
Turn that back off.
Yeah. Goodbye. All of a sudden, I'm the America Online guy. Goodbye.
The vibrations are loud enough. That's what she said. Anyway. So yes, they're trying to push us towards Gary being the one that's going to get arrested. But do you know what, Helen? I don't think it is.
Whatever gave you that idea?
I think someone else is in the frame here. And the only other person in the frame, really, is Sarah.
But does Swain know that? What could they possibly have?
It would be an absolute shame if Sarah was to go out of the show this way. I don't know if she has any plans for it. Oh, that's the thing I thought we were going to talk about in Corrie News. Remember 4 hours ago when I couldn't remember what the thing was that we wanted to talk about in Corrie News?
And then you give me a hard time for forgetting Anchorman.
It was Tina O'Brien confronting the paparazzo.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It was great.
Good for her.
He comes up to her all indignant going, who you giving the wanker sign to? You fucking wanker.
Yeah.
Taking a photograph of me going to Tesco's.
Yeah. I just applaud her doing her own shopping. Well done. Well done, Tina, doing your own shopping. We don't even do our own shopping.
We do sometimes. Not very often, though.
No.
I'd much rather pay somebody $20 to go and do it for me.
No, seriously. Especially, you know, with me having to bank my energy for things. I'd much rather spend my energy on, you know, hanging out with you and the kids rather than going and do the shopping and then having to take a nap immediately afterwards.
I do wonder, though, what new evidence has been presented, because I don't think it's the Kit evidence.
You don't think it's maybe that that dirty double-crossing phone expert guy?
No, and I don't know that that would be admissible as evidence, would it?
I don't know.
Is it illegal to get data out of a phone? It probably isn't. You probably have to have somebody's consent, but he had Gary's consent to do it.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Something's happened though, but McLaughlin seems very pleased with herself, like she's had a pivotal role. I quite like her. I'd like to see some more of her, and I'd like to see some more of D.I. Thompson. The two of them take no shit from nobody.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's like remembering what Swain used to be.
I was surprised a little bit at how easily Sarah confesses to Kit, and I'm a little surprised in general that since we found out who did it, it's been an unusual day on Coronation Street when somebody else hasn't also found out. So we've managed to keep this thing secret for weeks, and then you tell one person and then all of a sudden everybody knows.
Well, I mean, I can understand her saying, look, I have to tell you, I killed a man when he proposes. Because,
Yeah.
this is information he should have.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she doesn't tell him about that other guy she killed.
No, she's selective.
But
let's deal with this one first.
I guess that there's a statute of limitations there.
She didn't give him an answer, though. Do you think the offer still stands? I have a feeling that Kit is getting this mess sorted out and then he's bidding farewell to this.
Yeah.
What did you think of Kit and Sarah together anyway? It's like, can we get a taller person with a shorter person, please?
Yeah. See, this is why I really liked her with Damien, because they were the same height. It made sense.
Was it Damien or Damon?
Potato.
Certainly wasn't Damo,
No.
who again we've
Who
only
we've
seen once. I don't think he's coming back.
Which is weird, because
They gave him
they
a
gave
name.
him a name. You know what? He's run off with that old woman that Ken was supposed to have that relationship with.
Well, May of December, it happens.
It happens. It does. Look at us.
What do you mean?
Old man.
This is May to later on in May. No, so Kit and Sarah then.
I didn't mind it.
I didn't really mind it either.
I thought they were cute together. I still, of all of them, I think I preferred Adam and Sarah.
Yeah.
Out of all of them. And then, Damien, whatever his name is, because he was at least the same height as her. But he was a wrong un.
Oh, yeah,
and so
such a wrong un.
that kind of bothered me a little.
That she'd be so stupid as to do that.
Right, yeah. Then again,
She's not bright.
Gary isn't exactly clean, and neither is Kit.
No,
See,
and Adam's had his moments.
Right, Adam's had his moments, but he's cleaner than the other two. He hasn't planted evidence or killed anyone.
No.
I know that's a very low bar, but Adam does step over it.
I liked Adam and Sarah quite a lot, and I thought their wedding was fantastic.
Yeah, their wedding was really great because they had like the stained glass from that famous Scottish artist who we have some glasses made by.
Charles Rennie Mackintosh.
Yes.
That's how you get a Scotsman on board.
Yes.
Just put lots of Charles Rennie Mackintosh all over the place.
It's gorgeous stuff. I like it.
Stuff. Yeah, I would be a little sad that the relationship kind of dies with this. I'd be very sad if Tina O'Brien went out the show. I really like Tina.
Well, you like her leather skirt.
I very much like her leather skirt. But, she's one of those older legacy characters that does still represent a different era of Coronation Street, her and David.
Yeah.
And it would be a wee shame if this is how they make her go out of it.
Well,
but,
I mean, who else does she have left to date?
Yeah, nobody good.
No. What her options are...
Oh, no, let's not do this, because none of these are good, because we're getting into Ken's and Brian's here.
Kev, Brian, and Ken. That's it. Nobody can break up on Coronation Street because there's nobody left to date.
That's when it comes to an end. Where there's no matches left.
Yeah. They keep having to, drag in people like Ross.
Or, God forbid, Mary has sex at some point in this century.
She had sex once last century. She got a marine biologist out of it.
If only. All right, we've put it off to the end.
We did.
It's a new trauma for Betsy story.
Yay! More young women getting trauma. Woo!
The thing that I love most about young women getting trauma, Amy, Summer, Kelly the Chin,
Nina,
Nina, is
Abby.
it's how we typically
Bethany.
make this about men at some point. So
Right,
I'm
yes.
curious to see how we're going to turn this
Into
Betsy
a
trauma
lesson for men.
into so a man can figure
A
something out.
man learns something about himself through the trauma of women. Although, this time around, I am sympathetic on both sides.
Well, let's dive into it.
Yeah.
On Monday, it turns out that Betsy is fucking useless at cooking. Oh, I hate it when they do this. And even though
Yeah.
she's young, you know how to boil an egg. You know how to make eggs, surely.
Right, yeah. They're like, oh, she can't fry an egg.
No, she's managed to under and overcook scrambled eggs when she's cooking breakfast.
Scrambled eggs can be tough.
She's also rubbish at parallel parking.
Ha 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 ha.
When Dylan gently points this out repeatedly to her, she takes a hump. So then he takes a hump and storms off. She goes round to Nina's Rolls later to apologise for being nasty to him and asks him for her help so she won't starve to death in that London. He agrees and they rustle up a mean spag ball.
Yes.
She reveals what was really on her mind though, because last week Lauren made a joke about Dylan and Betsy being a couple for the next 10 years, which Dylan described as terrifying. He tries to go back on that a bit, but she's not really allowing them to. And then he admits that he doesn't want her to be dating while she's away. And she's like, well, you can't have it both ways. And Dylan is a bit of an asshole here. He backtracks again and reckons that they can make it work, especially if she has a spag ball waiting for him when he gets off the coach. And he keeps on going on about how once his mum finds out that he's in London, well, you'll never be away from the place. And it's like, well, that's not you coming to see me though, says Betsy.
Right, yeah. And also, yikes.
Mm-hmm. Fucking hell, Betsy, just run.
And also, it's just weird for him to say that because he's clearly not a mama's boy because he lives with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he's being homophobic and referring to Sean as his mum, which I don't think he's doing.
I don't think they're doing that.
Because Sean doesn't live in London.
But instead of running,
London.
they smooch. On Wednesday, an ambulance rushes away from number 6 early in the morning. Ross spots it and asks Roy and Nina's Rolls if he knows anything about it. And as soon as number 6 is mentioned, Roy
Is out of
literally
there.
runs away from his post,
Goes fast.
leaving Ross standing about waiting for a smoothie like a total lemon.
Do you believe Ross would order a smoothie?
Looking at him, no.
It's just weird hearing the man say smoothie.
Yeah, he's in his 60s.
Where's my smoothie?
He's in his 60s, and Tracy is in her early 50s, I think.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's at least May to
That's
late
that's
July.
it. After 40, all bets are off.
That's true. Later in the cafe, Lauren and Brody are taking the piss out of Dylan because he's texted Betsy 5 times today and she's ghosting him. Brody says that she looked fine when he saw her earlier in the morning. And then Roy comes over and assumes that Brody hasn't heard from Betsy, which makes Dylan feel even more like a muppet. And Lauren and Brody enjoyed taking the piss out of him even more. Oh, way to go, Roy. Until Roy explains that she's in hospital. And I'm telling this slightly in the wrong order. So Carla bursts into A&E and it's Ryan who greets her. They're careful to use pronouns instead of names here to maintain an air of mystery over who was in the ambulance. So he says that he found her collapsed in the kitchen. And I think we're meant to think it was Swain. But when Carla goes into the room, Swain's sitting next to the bed that has a Betsy in it. What on earth has happened? Has Swain shot her daughter again? Betsy's speech is a bit slurred, but she apologises for breaking a mug or something. And before anyone can get too comfortable, she's whisked away for an MRI. The weird Scottish doctor from last week has an English cousin, and she turns up to tell Swain, Carla and Ryan that Betsy's had a stroke. Swain refuses to believe it, as Betsy's just a teenager, and teenagers don't get strokes.
This is just the very beginning of me just being really annoyed at Swain this week. Because, shut the fuck up. The doctor said she had a stroke. She had a fucking stroke. And this is me saying this, someone who has a healthy caution of doctors because sometimes they do get things wrong. But seriously, if a doctor in the emergency room comes and tells you your daughter had a stroke,
After an MRI.
right, after an MRI, the first thing you do is not yell at the doctor and tell the doctor they're wrong.
She was super aggressive.
She was so aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you don't know how to do your job right. It's impossible for a teenager to have a stroke, which, newsflash, not true. Babies have strokes. A blood clot can happen to anyone.
Swain and this doctor are both frontline workers.
Right.
And isn't there a sort of code amongst them? You would have thought that we trust you and you trust us sort of thing. And I don't know if it's because Swain has such a protective nature over Betsy that
Unhealthy.
she can't possibly think in terms of something as serious as a stroke, but it was a dreadful look.
Yes.
The weird doctor says it's rare but not unheard of, and they'll have to do more tests. Swain is super aggressive as she insists that the MRI was wrong. There's no way that her daughter could have had a stroke, and Carla has to kind of calm her down a bit here. When Betsy, and it's the doctor's like talking about telling Betsy, and the doctor says it might be better if it came from you, and Swain treats that like an insult as well. Oh yeah, I'll tell her. Why don't you just let me tell her then? So, yeah,
Shut up,
this
Lisa.
is not great.
Not a good look.
So when Betsy learns of this, she's as surprised as anyone. And Swain tells a story of Betsy falling as a kid or something and just getting straight back up again, and she thinks that she'll be able to do the same here. Gets straight back up again while Swain was still upset or something or other. But Swain's eyes betray how terrified she is, and Betsy seems to pick up on this. And then Dylan arrives, and everyone gives him and Betsy some private time, although Swain has to be dragged away by Carla and Ryan.
Right. Yeah.
Outside,
She's such a terrible mother.
Outside, Swain still can't believe that an 18-year-old can have had a stroke. We're still going on about this. When Ryan thinks that everything will be fine, and that Ryan's saying everything will be fine, a nurse explodes out of Betsy's room and shouts for a doctor. Swain, Carl and Ryan rush to the room where at first it looked to me like Betsy's head had fallen off, but she's having another stroke, and she's rushed to surgery to remove the blood clot, which is something that the weird doctor said might be a requirement.
Thrombosis?
A thrombectomy.
Thrombectomy, yeah.
It's many hours later when they finally get confirmation that the operation was a success, but this second stroke has left Betsy very weak down her right-hand side, and her speech is even more slurred than it was before. They're able to speak to her, but Swain is very upset when she has trouble understanding what she's trying to say. And I think it's made worse because Ryan and Carla seem to be able to tune into it a little bit better than Swain's able to.
Because Swain is freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she's not going to understand as well because she's so much in her own head about all of this.
Right.
And she's not listening to her daughter, which is true all the way through the storyline.
Right. There's a lot of praise for Sidney Martin's acting here, and I think it's a really fine line when you're trying to put that inflection into your voice and not be, because you're deliberately not being understood. But she does do something with her face and her mouth that it looks like she's not allowing the right hand side of her face to work.
Yeah.
And so it comes across really authentically.
It does.
I think.
I think there's a slight whininess to the tone of her voice.
I spotted that at the
this.
start as well, but it sounded like she'd just kind of woken up or something like that.
Yeah, she sounds very tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's doing a great job, and what she's doing with her eyes especially is real effective because she's showing fear at points and she's showing anger at points and disbelief, and she's doing it all while not really allowing most of her face to react, and I think that's pretty amazing. Good for her. She's a good wee actress.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily Ryan and Carla are able to translate, and it seems that she's wanting to go home because the place is full of old people who have also had strokes. Ryan tells her that he knows what it's like to be poked and prodded like this after his trauma with the acid attack. And it's weird that he mentions this on the day when it looks like he hasn't even put his scars on. But he advises one day at a time for Betsy, maybe even 1 hour at a time.
Yeah, and Sydney Martin mentioned this in an interview because there are prosthetics on her face to kind of help her look like the right side of her
Oh, interesting.
face is, is kind of slumped and not
It looked slumped and a bit swollen as well. Maybe that's what the prosthetic
working
was
properly.
doing.
And she was talking about how all of this was done in-house, whereas for the Ryan actor, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Ryan Prescott.
Oh, his name is Ryan in both places? That's hilarious. How all of his prosthetics were made out of house.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job with his prosthetics, but they've just decided that, nah,
Right,
we're
like
not going to do this anymore.
Like they put them on some days, but not every day. Like, for this week where he's only in a few scenes,
Yeah.
they're not going to bother. But if it was like a Ryan storyline, they would.
Let's not underestimate his involvement in this as well, because I think Ryan was great throughout. He was...
Yes. Very big brother.
He was so big brother, and he was trying to be a calming influence on everyone else, even though not everyone else, Lisa, wanted to be calmed.
Right.
The weird nurse comes in and has some troubling news for Betsy and Swain in private. Another test they've run has picked up some trauma on an artery in her neck, and the nurse asks if Betsy had an injury there or if something crushed it. Apparently even a smallish injury could be responsible for this. Swain picks up on this and asks if Betsy was assaulted, and Betsy says no, she wasn't assaulted. And then she tells her story while the Civil War sing Dance Me to the End of Love, which I'm always going to like that. I'm falling for that. The song just does it for me.
Yeah, but the blurry soft focus of Betsy and Dylan dancing like it was like a flashback from the 1980s.
Well, I didn't press the flashback button. Would you like me to?
No.
Okay. I thought it was an innovative way of telling the story, and the confusion in Betsy's ability to say the right word, because she says they were in the garage rather than the kitchen. But what we see is them in Webster's Autos to start with, that just kind of becomes a kitchen after that.
Right.
So,
or like a large black space that has a stove in it.
yeah, and I like that. I liked that far more than... This is the sort of thing that I complain about, but I think it worked really well, and the Civil War singing is... It elevates it a little bit. So yeah, it's told in this kind of flashback, but it's confused as Betsy first of all says it was a garage, but she meant the kitchen, and she describes the meal that they cooked on Monday, but it's marbles that she sees, but then it's the spag ball. And then what happened after that, Betsy says that they danced, and as she describes it, we see Betsy and Dylan dancing until Dylan puts his hands around Betsy's throat. There was nothing, Betsy says, everyone does it. And Swain's confused. No one's ever choked me while I was dancing. No, says Betsy, and she's frustrated at this, and she struggles to find the right word, so she says upstairs bed. And after slightly too long, the penny drops for Swain. Dylan choked Betsy during sex. Betsy plays it down, says they've done it before, but Swain is distraught. So later, when Dylan shows up, Ryan quickly tries to usher him away before Swain sees, but she does, and she blames him. This is all Dylan's fault. Why would he choke her? Why would he choke her girl? And she goes for him like she's about to throttle him, until Ryan finally manages to get Dylan out of the fucking room and to safety. So I had seen a rumour of this like a day or so before it aired, so I was sort of prepared for it. But even being prepared for it, I wasn't really prepared for it. And it was a storyline that has made me, a twist on the storyline that has made me think about it far more than I think about storylines in general, and trying to think about what I've thought about it, because it doesn't feel like it's a Coronation Street story. It's the first thing and the loudest thing that came into my head was this just doesn't feel like it's Coronation Street's job to do this awareness thing that they like to do. Like they pick on a disease, or they pick on a societal ill, and they shine some light on it, and it just felt like a very non-Coronation Street thing to do.
And you're not saying that as like a prude.
Not entirely.
No, it's more like, is this really the right show to discuss something that's a little more nuanced? And are they sensationalizing something that may be
Such an easy thing to sensationalize.
right?
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of prudishness about it. That it's an awkward subject to broach, but more or less it's an awkward subject to broach on this show. And I think the people that they're trying to educate about this, I'm not convinced that they watch Coronation Street.
Or would take this story seriously.
Right.
We'll go into this a little bit further in our conversation with Christie.
Yes, which is coming up fairly shortly.
Yes.
On Thursday at the hospital, Betsy is trying to see herself in a pocket mirror, but Swain quickly removes that and assures her that she's
why?
beautiful. I don't know why she's doing that either.
Let her look at herself.
She's not allowed?
She's not allowed to. She's an adult woman now, Lisa.
She was going to London.
London? You need to cut your apron strings here, madam.
Mm-hmm.
That made me so mad. That very specific action especially just made me so mad. Like, oh, no. You're beautiful. You don't need to look at yourself to know you're
And that
beautiful.
thing as well.
Which you wouldn't even say that.
It's fine, you're beautiful. As if that's what Betsy's checking to see. Am I
Right.
still beautiful here? Or how does this face that I can't feel,
Look like.
how does that look?
Right. Yeah. She should be allowed to see that and experience that for herself.
Agreed. Carol thinks it's about time Swain went home for some sleep, but Swain refuses, saying that she has to be there to hear the results of the assessment, and if she's doing anything outside the hospital today, it'll be to report Dylan.
And Betsy says, no.
No, she registers her disapproval of this. Sean and Dylan, meanwhile, are in the precinct, and Dylan has been super quiet. Sean offers to take him to the hospital to see Betsy, but Dylan quickly puts a kibosh on that and says Betsy needs her family more than him right now. Back at the hospital, Betsy gets her assessment, and it's fairly positive concerning the circumstances, and they think that she should make a full recovery given time. Later, Swain is in Nina's Rolls, where Brodie and Lauren are able to ask after Betsy and offer their love, but Swain thinks it's a bit too soon for a visit. But then Sean and Dylan come in, and Sean is laughing about a TikTok about a noisy goat or something, and this just yanks Lisa's chain something dreadful. She confronts the two of them, announces to the whole cafe that Dylan strangled Betsy during sex. He's responsible for this, and he almost killed her. Roy's like, I don't think that Betsy would want this aired in public like this.
Exactly.
And he's absolutely right.
Exactly. And I wish he would be there at the Rovers later on when this sort of thing happens again.
Do you want to come into my flat and you can talk about it in private there?
Yes. Which is very kind of him to do.
Dylan insists that he loves Betsy and wouldn't hurt her. This isn't love, says Swain, and says that you don't choke someone that you love. Dylan runs out while Lauren covers baby Frankie's ears.
And Lisa seems to not understand that sex doesn't have to be just one way to be loving. And also, you can be in a relationship in which forms of S&M and bondage are involved, and it's a loving, healthy relationship. And maybe you should fuck off.
Not for her daughter, it's not, though.
Oh, yeah.
Back at the precinct, Sean asks if this is true, and Dylan assures him that it was consensual and nothing he did could have caused a stroke, and she was fine. She was fine. I left her, she was fine.
Right.
Plus, everyone does it. And he says, have you seen people do it on the internet? And this is where I think this story is going to end up.
And this is also where the story falls off.
And that he'd never hurt her. Sean is shocked by this, but reckons it's pretty difficult for Betsy to
Really,
give
Sean?
consent if Dylan has his hands wrapped round her throat.
Really, Sean? this shocks you, Sean. I don't think you're surprised by this, Sean.
Again, maybe he's surprised that Dylan's doing it. Because I look at Dylan and I'm kind of surprised that Dylan's doing it.
See, I've known people much more normal looking than Dylan.
Dylan is normal looking.
He's very normal looking, yes.
Let's be fair.
And he's a sweet looking kid. You know, he looks like butter wouldn't melt.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But I've known people in real life who are into this sort of thing, who are even more normal looking than Dylan. So I guess it doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother everyone else. Granted, I guess I would be a little shocked if one of our children said to me that they enjoy erotic asphyxiation. You were trying very
so
hard
much
not to imagine this.
Not to point a light in that direction.
But I think you kind of have to when you're like, well, is Sean being shocked because it's his son? Or is he being shocked because he's never heard of anybody, you know, putting their hands around someone else's neck during sex? Because, you know, the brief sensation of not enough air getting to your brain can enhance the sensation of sexual pleasure.
We get it. I think it's a son thing. I don't know that I wouldn't react in the same way if that thing that you said about the kids that I can't bring myself to say. I think I would probably feel the same way. I wouldn't be shocked because I've seen it. So I know it exists. And
right.
I remember...
But the way Sean is acting kind of makes it seem like he's never heard of this before in his life from anyone. Not like, I can't believe you're doing that. It's not, I can't believe you're doing that. He's like, I can't believe that's a thing. And it's like, Sean,
see,
Bubby.
They seem so young. And they're 18. But they seem so young that, you know, if you're young, you experiment with things. That's what happens.
And newsflash, when you're old, you experiment with things.
Well, yeah,
and
let's not pick at that scab.
It tends to be when you're old, you're more experienced, so things like this doesn't happen as much.
Sean says that maybe he didn't want to hurt Betsy, but he did. Still, in Sean's heart, he knows Dylan is a good kid, which is what he said about the zombie knife stuff.
Well done remembering the zombie knife stuff.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost word for word to the same line. At the station, Swain is reporting a crime. The reported becomes the reportee. Or something. On Friday, so in the morning, as he's leaving a message on Betsy's phone promising to come visit, DC McLaughlin, who's turning up like Tinker, takes Dylan in for questioning, which is seen by Fizz. Meanwhile, on the street, Lauren and Brodie are chatting about the situation. Brodie wants to give Dylan the benefit of the doubt, but Lauren is of the opinion that Dylan is a coward because she overheard what Swain had to shout at him in the cafe yesterday. Although, so did Brodie. At the hospital, Lauren is visiting, but Betsy's either asleep or pretending to be asleep. So Lauren steps out, and at first she runs into Swain, who has brought some mac and cheese for Betsy, as it doesn't require a lot of chewing. And this seems to affect Lauren, and she's wiping away tears. Dylan comes in. Lauren is having none of this and tells Dylan to fuck all the way off.
Yeah.
That Betsy doesn't want to see him after what he did. Dylan sticks to the I didn't do anything line, but Lauren refuses to let him past. What's this, Dylan? Refusing to take no for an answer again? And this kicks Dylan in the newts.
And is unfair because
yeah,
it's
no one
not that nobody has suggested that Betsy said no. It's all from Betsy's point of view and Dylan's point of view. This all seems very much a consensual act.
I feel like this could have been avoided an awful lot if when Dylan came into the room and was quickly ushered away, that someone had explained to him how his actions, while not having an impact immediately, were still responsible for what happened afterwards, because he seems completely unaware that anything that he did that night could have anything to do
Right.
with what happened later on.
Or if anybody just very calmly had said to him, look, we know that you guys are having sex, first of all, and that this is something you do. You did. We get that it was consent, we get that you didn't want to hurt Betsy. We understand that you didn't do this intentionally. But nobody's that calm here.
No.
Especially Lisa. Lisa can't seem to wrap her head around her daughter having sex, number one, which is, anyway. But also that somebody could possibly, that this would possibly be something that she's into. And also, I find it very, 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 very strange that everybody is acting like this is something Dylan did for Dylan's pleasure, when this act is supposed to enhance the pleasure of the person being choked, not the person doing the choking.
Yeah, he was accused of doing something for his own pleasure.
Right.
At one point.
Yeah.
But this feels like it's a scene with Carla outside that room.
Yes.
Where Carla calmly explains
Or
what happened.
Ryan. Ryan was the one who escorted Dylan out. He could have, in the hallway, very calmly explained it, man to man, But that doesn't happen.
No.
Because nobody on the show knows how to communicate with one another.
Right. So Dylan says it wasn't like that and tells Lauren to tell Betsy that he was there and that he loves her. And Lauren does no such thing, and she keeps
No.
doom later when Betsy wakes up and asks for Dylan. Swain tells her that she reported him after all, and this upsets Betsy quite a bit, to the point that I begin to wonder if people are now wanting her to have a third stroke. Meanwhile, Sean has got wind of Dylan running with the cops and finds him chatting to Brodie. Dylan is super pissed off that Brodie is welcome to see Betsy and frustrated that no one seems to want to listen to what he has to say. Brodie leaves, which allows Sean to have the worst take of the week. Worst take of the week? If Dylan is telling the truth and he didn't assault Betsy, then someone else must have done it. And that the other person who must have done it then must be Brodie, which means that Betsy is cheating on him.
Which, again, is such a leap, because when we kind of talked about this in spoiler alert last week, my presumption was that Brodie is blamed not in a sexual way, but that Brodie was blamed for giving something to Betsy
there was drugs
to
involved,
cause her to have a stroke, because the main causes of strokes for people under the age of 50 are smoking, drugs, and not enough exercise, and high blood pressure, and diabetes.
Right.
So none of which has anything to do with erotic asphyxiation. So that was kind of our assumption, that that's the way that the whole Brodie accusation was going to go, because that's believable, because Brodie has dealt drugs in the past. The fact that they jump into this, she must be cheating on you with Brodie, which doesn't make any sense.
Brodie has always had a bit of a soft spot for Betsy. But
Betsy
but
has never reciprocated that.
He seemed to respect the fact that she and Dylan were a thing.
Right. And that Betsy did not
even though
reciprocate.
Betsy probably, with her Mason thing, probably leans more towards a Brodie type character. I don't know.
How dare you insult the memory of Mason in this way?
I thought was being quite generous. So Dylan doesn't think that Betsy would cheat. Got any better ideas, says Sean? And then there's a lovely wee scene in the hospital with Brodie and Betsy together. He talks about his experiences with his mum and dad fighting and the theatre that he and Lou put on any time that he hit her, putting on a brave face sort of thing. Betsy says that she doesn't want to give a statement about Dylan. Well, it's your life, says Brodie, but he says it in a nice way, not like, it's your hair. Doesn't say it like that.
It's your hair.
Sean and Dylan have gone to the pub, but Lauren, who's behind the bar, is having none of it. Dylan accuses her of grassing him up, but she tells him it was Swain what done it, and they can both fuck off. Sean is indignant on Dylan's behalf and suggests that Brodie was the one to blame. Dylan quietly says that Brody's always wanted a bit of Betsy, so it makes sense. It's never your fault, is it, says Lauren. First the zombie knives and now this, and she bars the both of them. I work here, shouts Sean. Tough
Yes.
shit, says Lauren.
And then Lauren very loudly exclaims to everybody in the pub how Dylan choked her during sex.
And an old woman spits her gin and tonic out all over another old woman.
And Fizz makes a whole face. Whole?
I think you could hear someone fainting. Back at the hospital, Betsy is still upset that Dylan hasn't come to visit her. Lauren says, look, I can't tell you a lie. He's telling people that you've been cheating on him with Brody. And Brody is fucking furious about this.
Right, yes, and I'm fucking furious and yelling, how dare you, racist Kelly, at the screen. Because
Oh, we've
you
not called her
think...
racist Kelly for a while.
Right, yes. It's because I'm mad at her that she's now racist Kelly again.
Gotcha. That'll confuse people.
Because you think, well, it's fine. Because you think she's about ready to say, look, he did come and visit the other day, but I told him to shove off. But no, that's not what she says.
Nope.
She says this thing that Dylan didn't say, that Sean said.
Sean did kind of say it.
Yeah,
But
Sean.
it was Sean that mostly said it.
Sean, yes. Mostly Sean said it.
No, but Dylan did say that, he's always wanted a bit of her.
Right, yeah. He kind of mumbles it under his breath, but it's Sean who loudly exclaims that this is the fact.
So Brody is furious about this and heads off to get some satisfaction as Betsy pleads with him not to. And that is how we end this week's episodes.
Kinda.
So normally at this point, you and I would talk about that storyline a little bit more, but we're going to do something a little bit different. And I can't remember how I introduced Christie.
So you'll just let past Gavin introduce Christina.
So let's head over to past Gavin as our master of ceremonies here.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
So we welcome to the podcast our Canadian librarian friend, Christie Paschakis, who was either the first or second voice on the podcast that wasn't me or Helen. I remember Christie did some hindsight corner work for us.
I think our sound editor friend...
Chris, but not that one?
Yes, Chris,
Yeah,
but not
maybe.
that one. I think he was first because it was around the time I was getting like an operation or something,
Yeah,
and
you
he
were
filled
recovering
in.
from surgery, I think.
Yes.
Christie has been a friend of the podcast long before friend of the podcast was a thing and before we started charging people to be our friends. More importantly, though, Christie is the founder of the SOAR Initiative Canada, SOAR, a small Canadian non-profit that focuses on the long-term healing of survivors of sexual violence, intimate partner violence and child abuse through community connection. Check out soarinitiative.org for more information. Christie, how are you?
I am great, and I'm really happy to be at least one of the first two Chris's on the show.
I know. It's
great.
fine air we're breathing now.
Yes.
Apart from the actual air.
Yeah.
Christie, welcome. When did you learn about this storyline and what were your initial thoughts about it as it aired?
So I actually didn't really know that this storyline was going to air. I haven't been watching Coronation Street very diligently for the last few years. I've been mostly catching up through you both. And
We hear that a lot.
Right. So I have been catching a few episodes here and there and a couple of storylines that I probably would watch a bit more. I heard from a spoiler that Betsy was going to have a stroke, and I thought, that's interesting. She's quite young. I wonder where they're going to go with this. So I sort of just tuned in and caught some of the clips, and that's how I found out what this storyline was going to be on. So as soon as I saw your post on, I think it was on Threads, and I was just like, I'm so interested to hear your thoughts on this week, because I have a lot to say. This is really interesting stuff.
Well, from my point of view, I was really conflicted with it because it felt like it wasn't a Coronation Street story. And I always think about my mum watching the show and my gran watching the show, and oh my God, there was a reaction in tonight's episode of people overhearing about the choking, and they kind of just spat their tea out. And I can imagine my mum and my gran doing that. But this show isn't for my mum and my gran anymore because they're no longer with us, and I don't know, that was my initial thought, was this is a difficult storyline to parse as a Coronation Street storyline, but as I watched it, I felt like they were doing a better job than I expected.
That's interesting.
Yeah. How do you feel, Helen?
Yeah, I've actually read an interview with Sydney Martin, and in it she said that she and Kate Brooks sat down to talk about it, and she said that we were avid in making sure we got right that it's not a bad guy, good guy situation. It's two consenting young adults. There isn't a villain in this. Hopefully it doesn't come across as fear-mongering. It's more to strike up conversations. And I thought that's interesting because it kind of feels a little fear-mongering to me in the way that they have initially done it. And it also feels like Gav was talking about how, the reaction in the Rovers and people spitting out their tea. Mm-hmm. And to me, it feels really disingenuous because erotic asphyxiation has been around for a long time. Long time. This is not new. The kids haven't invented it. And I feel like a number of those characters who are acting shocked, especially Sean, and I mean that in a non-homophobic way, should not have been shocked that people do this, little choking thing during sex. I mean, It was only 2009 that David Carradine accidentally killed himself through autoerotic asphyxiation. So this should be something that's, it feels like they're going for a little bit of shock value here. And I mean, if you read about the rising stroke numbers for people under the age of 50, this cause doesn't come up in like the top 10. So so there's something about it that feels a little icky, especially for a soap opera to do.
And I agree with this because I will say that I really liked the scene between Dylan and Sean up until Sean was super shocked by hearing about the choke, because I was like, I can understand your shock that it's your child that has engaged in this, but the way he was acting as though this is the first time they're ever hearing about this, that is where I was sort of, why are you making it seem like this is a brand new thing? It's not a brand new thing. It's been around for a long time. It's unfortunately on the rise in terms of young people under the age of 35, most likely around the ages of 16 and 17. So, they are seeing a higher amount. And that is part of the problem with they're seeing this online. Most education that young people are getting about sex is not coming from schools. It's coming from what they're seeing online, whether it's on screens, pornography. Yeah, I don't think this is going into like a manosphere thing. We know that there are some people in manosphere that use and have said things about choking in terms of submission and control and dominance, but I don't feel that this is where they were going. I think they were trying to show that these are two young people who are engaging in what is some people consider a sexual kink that they have not done proper research on, clearly did not understand just how dangerous this is, and this is the unfortunate result that happened from this. But I do agree that it's not really about showing a villain. I don't think that Dylan is a villain. I think in this case, it is this really unfortunate thing that happened because they both just didn't realize what the consequences of doing something like this is. And I was doing some research to pull up before the podcast, and I found a study in, I believe it was Psychology Today from, I want to say it was 2023, but they brought up a very interesting comparison. So, it takes about 5 pounds of pressure for 8 to 10 seconds to cause unconsciousness. It's 11 pounds of pressure to restrict blood flow to the carotid arteries. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. I'm more than sure. I have not had enough coffee today. And in comparison, it takes about 20 pounds of pressure to open a soda can and 40 to 60 pounds of pressure for a firm handshake. So when you're putting a hand on a very delicate part of a neck, you really don't realize how quickly that pressure can escalate. And even if somebody appears conscious and fine in the moment, it could actually do damage that shows up later, which is clearly what has happened in the storyline. But just the fact that it's being shown as this brand new thing is, I agree. It feels very disingenuous in that regard. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Carradine thing, the Michael Hutchins thing, in the popular culture, I think the way that this is portrayed is maybe not the best. People have an idea or a notion of a famous person in a wardrobe somewhere with a belt round their neck, and it's that sort of sensational reporting of it that I think, does it make it more taboo, or does it make it more something that is likely to be mocked? And I don't know, it just feels like the information that's out there, if you're relying on those sort of reports and internet pornography for your education on this, it's going to lead to a lot of misunderstanding and misapprehensions, and also, the submission dominant part of it is a circle that I kind of find a little difficult to square, because when you think of putting your hands around somebody's neck, it feels like a very deliberate and almost a violent act just in itself.
Right.
And so to think of it in terms of a loving relationship which exists outside the world of reporting and outside the world of internet gonzo pornography, it's a little difficult to square all that.
Yeah. I think that's the important thing, and a very nuanced thing that I think, especially in the setting of Coronation Street, might be difficult to convey. Because if you are in a loving, or not even a loving, if you are in a consensual relationship with someone that you have this sort of relationship with, the way it happens in real life, the way it's supposed to happen in real life, is that you are both very clear about how far you go and not far, and not any further. You're very clear about signals, both verbal and nonverbal, that you give in order to stop something. It's very professional, I guess you would say. And I feel like in things like this particular storyline, and in like movies like the 50 Shades of Grey garbage, those are not conveyed, and in the end can be very damaging to people within those communities, because people start to look at them like they are these evil people. And it's also damaging because it sensationalizes this sort of thing and can cause people who are not informed to do things the wrong way.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is where my hesitancy comes in when it comes to Coronation Street doing this storyline, because we've seen Coronation Street has done some very good issue-based storylines, but I know I've said this in the past. Coronation, not just the amount, and it feels like it's just consistent one after the other and on top of each other, and it just feels like it's constant, a different kind of issue-based storyline every couple of weeks.
Right.
But I feel that they start off pretty strong. They have this good idea of having, we're going to start off with this conversation. They do some great research. They bring in some in some stories have really assisted people with calling in and getting help and recognizing that they've had a problem or that this issue affected them. And at some point, they dropped the ball. We saw it with, I said it from before, with Carla's rape storyline. They did it with the Jeff and Yasmin storyline.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the same idea where it starts off really good, and then they just go the route of, well, we have another one that we got to focus on now, so we're just going to kind of end this one in, a big explosive way or something, and it just drops off. So my concern is that the same thing is going to happen with this one, that it's starting off with some good conversation, and you can see some good conversation happening online with people talking about the consent portion. Where does the consent end during something like this? And again, Sean brought up a very good point to Dylan, saying, but at what point, if she can't breathe, is she supposed to communicate to you? Because even people who have those safeguards in place, whether it be verbal or physical, if anything happens, your body tends to freeze. Right? And so you may not actually be able to communicate that something is wrong in the moment, because it just might happen that it got too much and your body went into a fight or flight or freeze in this case. And so we don't even know in this case. She said it was consensual, and it was it did seem like it was, and perhaps this was just the tears that occurred and the clot that formed because of this situation that they got themselves into that they didn't properly look into or educate themselves on, and they just saw it as something that looked kind of, interesting. And I hope it's not romantic, because I don't see how it could ever be. But I mean, I think teenagers just see things as well online, and there's I think there was like a meme of, I think there's a hashtag called Choke Me Daddy. So I'm sure that that's something that is all the interacted with, so to speak, with a lot of the teenagers. And then there was also saying something like choking is the new hickey. So it's very possible that they're just not realizing just how dangerous something like this is, and how easily it can lead to obviously a stroke or death. And it's really sad to see that, but I'm glad they're tackling it in one way. Yeah. I just worry that they're not going to do the justice to the story. And I love Coronation Street, I really do, but unfortunately in recent years, it's just, I haven't seen a storyline that would support my belief that they would really end this off on a strong note, unfortunately.
No,
right. You just have to look at Carla's kidneys,
Oh, don't even get me started on that one.
And how, like, the Kidney Association that they worked with put out a statement saying, we didn't approve this.
Yes.
This is not what we told them to do. Yeah. It's funny because I see the whole, the memes like the Choke Me Daddy. To me, those are kind of like, a couple of years ago when everybody was asking Pedro Pascal to step on their neck, Yeah. That sort of thing kind of feels more Tide Pod to me, as far as this whole conversation is that, it's older people seeing things that they don't necessarily understand that kids say and or pretend to do, like 6, 7, and and go nuts. And this is not the first generation to do stupid things just to shock and bother their parents. But it's because in that same article, Sydney Martin was talking about how younger people don't want their sex to be vanilla. And to me, and I am probably an outlier here, to me, choking and spanking feel like the most vanilla thing you can do in an S&M situation. It feels like the bare minimum. So So while I'm, this sort of thing is in my head while I'm watching this, and this is why I'm like kind of concerned about this particular storyline, because it's like, are these older adult writers seeing something and sensationalizing it for views, and in the end kind of making the situation worse?
Well, in the end, a woman suffering trauma on Coronation Street is only there to facilitate a man learning something about himself.
Oh, that's true.
And I do worry.
Always.
I do worry that this story will eventually degenerate into something like, isn't it a shame for Dylan and his terrible internet porn addiction? And that's what the storyline becomes. It's getting information out there for the first week, but then with every passing week they start to lose interest in it, and that compounds over time, and we have seen that, like we've said a million times before. I thought it was interesting that Betsy's character says, but everybody does it, and this isn't the first time we've done it. And then I read about people who are taking this as a, well, let's give this a try. It's like it's an invitation, or it's not an awareness of the risks, but just an awareness of the practice, if you like, if you weren't familiar with it. And I don't know if Coronation Street's message here is supposed to be they're anti this or they're pro this. And I think it was the medical director at the Institute for Strangulation said something like, there's no safe way to strangle.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works out in the position, the delicate position, I guess, that the show's got to take here for showing this, trying not to be, I guess, preachy about it, but have an overall message of it. Like, what are we supposed to take from this as a viewer?
Yeah, and you don't really have anybody talking about it in a way of educating or saying, like, hey, this is not a new thing. This has been going on, but maybe they didn't realize or something. Because now what we're getting, which is sort of what I feared we're going to get, is basically Lisa and Sean sniping at each other, and now Lauren inserting herself in, and it's just going to be this going for the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
where
don't get me started on Lauren.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I was so frustrated watching the clips today. But it's it's that idea of there's no actual conversation around it. So when the first episode kind of aired of them in the hospital and it all coming to light, I was like, okay, this is pretty good in this way that they're touching on this. And then, like I said, I did enjoy the Dylan and Sean scene, except for the fact that Sean acted like it's the first time he's ever heard about it. But it then again started to go off. Like, what are you trying to get across with this story? And this is where I fear that Corrie is going to slip back into its old habits, which is, what are you trying to get across? Are you trying to get across that this is something that may be dangerous, that people need, well, it is dangerous, that you need to look into before you try it, that this is something that is more than just seeing something online and thinking it looks cool and then trying to do it without really knowing what's happening? Or are you trying to say this is something that you should never do? Everybody who tries to engage in it is like a sick perv. Like, what are you trying to what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And I think I'm really hoping that they try to get that across in the upcoming week, at least, because the longer it takes to get their actual message out, it's lost.
Yep.
It's already getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Entirely. Well, I don't know if I know exactly how I'm supposed to think still. I'm finding it a very conflicting and maybe too meaty subject for a humble soap opera to tackle.
Meanwhile, I'm shouting, they're consensual adults at my television constantly.
Oh, is that what you were watching? Okay.
Over and over and over again and over again. Because and that's another thing. They're both 18. They're adults. The show kind of with the way Lisa is acting, especially, of course, this is nothing new for Lisa. She infantilizes Betsy all the time. but which is just a whole other issue that the show just refuses to address.
It's a wee baby, and she said that a number of times.
You know, but you know, they're consensual adults. You know, they may not be aware of the risk, but they're consensual adults, and I'm not quite sure. Again, in the City Martin article, you know, she mentioned something about how the laws have changed recently in the UK as far as this is concerned. And also, you know, that the laws have changed about how old you have to be in order to watch pornography, which, you know, good luck with that, pal.
It's true. You have to have you're supposed to have, if you don't know what a VPN is. So a friend tells me. You need to put in your ID to get onto anything that's adult only.
Right.
And if somebody is harmed during this, then a criminal offence has happened in the UK.
So, and that's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see if their message is going towards the whole why, because obviously multiple countries are putting in restrictions on teens being how old you have to be before you can be on certain social media sites. And so I'm wondering if that's something that they're going to do, which from my perspective, especially with the work that I do, you know, you're only just you're not solving the problem. What you're doing is just allowing them to find the illegal way to do it and a different way to do it.
Yep.
So instead of putting money and investing in organizations that do education and try to do outreach to hit these, you know, youth when they need it the most, you have very ultra, sometimes conservative governments that are saying, you know, we don't want sex education in schools, or we have to keep it bare minimum because, you know, nobody can learn about this. And then you have on the other side saying, well, they can also go online. We want to try to restrict this to try to keep them safe. You're not solving the problem. You're just allowing them to find a different way to get the information. And what they're going to get is basically kind of what we see, what happens here on Coronation Street, which is something that they saw online and, oh, well, everybody's doing it, but no understanding of what it is or how it's done or the dangers behind it. So you're only just opening it up more to that. So for somebody in my position, I don't necessarily agree with these blanket restrictions on putting teenage on, like how old you have to be on social media. I think that it may cause additional harm. Obviously, there is harm that is caused by many young people being online in terms of bullying, cyberbullying, obviously sexual exploitation, and a lot of other horrible things that we see. But is trying to say, okay, nobody under the age of 16 is going to be allowed online going to solve the problem? I don't think it will. I think you're just going to make it worse in some ways because they're just going to find the information from some pretty terrible sources. And as we know, facts don't matter anymore, apparently.
That's right.
We go by any expert who allegedly opens up a social media account and it's like, I'm an expert on everything.
Right. And you know, and I mean, that's the thing, because I can't see Coronation Street, you know, towards the end of this or even like the middle of this storyline sending Dylan and or Betsy to like a sex therapist to talk about the right way and the wrong way to gain consent, the right way and the wrong way to experiment with different sexual activities and stuff. I don't see the show doing that.
No, and I can't see Lisa allowing it either.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it's like, so how are they going to thread this needle then? It's like you've opened this can of worms about this thing that, you know, that is an issue.
They walk away from it. That's what they do. They do it with racism. They do it with homophobia.
Well, yes,
you raise the issue, then you walk away from it.
Right, yes. I mean, don't get me started on the whole Theo storyline initially supposed to be about conversion therapy and then just because that's too hard, blowing up into a huge abuse storyline all over again. You know, so I mean this, you know, it just kind of brings me back to, is Coronation Street the right place to have this conversation?
And I think that's a question that'll need to wait till next week to be answered.
Well, I was kind of hoping for Christie's reaction.
I was going to say, I literally had my mouth open. I was like, I want to say no. I'm going to say no. Again, I've just been so disappointed in so many stories that had such good, and I'll tell you the one that recently that I really watched prior to stopping watching Coronation Street that really upset me, and that was Peter's liver transplant.
Oh, you've gone back that far? Wow.
Yeah, that was something that just, you know, I've never seen a show build up something and then be like, okay, he's home.
Oh my
and we
God,
don't see him for like months. I don't understand what just happened. Somebody went in with a broken arm and we're still in there for like 6.5 weeks.
Right. And then you get people that fall from mezzanines onto coffee carts that have medically induced comas, and then they're
perfectly fine. Yeah. Or again, you know, Carla getting a kidney transplant and then getting kidnapped by the guy who gave her the kidney transplant, and then him falling 2 stories down a stairwell and then running away.
Christie, you've missed some great stuff, by the way.
Hiding amongst the porta potties. You know, it's yeah.
I really have. I've missed so much, and yet so little.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Christie. This has been great.
It has
chatting
been
with
great.
you. It's just been great chatting with you in general.
Seriously, we should just do this more often.
On a cheerier subject, maybe.
Right,
at some
yeah.
point.
I mean,
a much cheerier subject, please.
You're not that far away.
We are not.
And
clearly, you've gotten all our smoke. You're not that far.
Exactly. Thanks again for your time, Christie. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you
We'll
for
speak
having
to you again
me.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, wasn't that fun?
Yes. I always love having Christie on the show, even if it's only happened twice.
And the first time was probably 2019, I think.
Something like
when
that.
It was when we were still doing Hindsight Corner, and she recorded 2 things for us. It was the history of Roy and the history of Carla.
And is that when I started doing the bloop, 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 bloop?
I can't remember
I
when
can't
you started
remember when
doing
I
that.
started doing that, and I can't remember why I stopped doing it, because it's so much fun.
We stopped doing Hindsight Corner because we stopped getting things wrong. Or people stopped telling us that we were getting things wrong. More likely.
Or we stopped telling people that other people told us we had got something wrong.
One of those things for sure. Anyway, thanks again to Christie. It was great to have her views and thoughts on this conversation starting storyline for sure.
Yes.
So that was the week that was Coronation Street then. Helen, tell me, what was your moment of the week?
Such a fucking depressing week.
That was very depressing, wasn't it?
It was Hope saying, "and me."
Really?
When Ruby said, there are only 2 people on the street you need to look out for.
Yeah.
It's Tracy, and then Hope says, "and me."
The extreme close-up kind of ruined it for me a little
Because
bit.
that gave me a chuckle. And I needed a chuckle this week. And nothing else on Coronation Street was giving me a chuckle.
Fair enough. That's our
Moment of the week.
Our moment of the week.
Your boring moment of the week?
Is it Chesney bitching about not being the one to help?
No, it's Chesney when he comes in and he goes, "This is your 5-minute warning. Any child who isn't ready in 5 minutes will be shot," or something.
No child left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, stop trying to be funny, Chesney.
Doesn't work.
Boring moment of the week.
Now, we don't ask Twitter anymore.
No.
Someone asked, you don't do the Twitter poll anymore?
Because fuck Elon Musk.
Right. No, we don't do the Twitter poll anymore.
I've already said fuck Jeff Bezos tonight, so I have to say fuck you to another
Andrew
billionaire.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah. I don't know why we're saying fuck you to Zuck this week. We'll have to think
Every
of
week.
something.
He's a prick.
They're all pricks.
With his big $600 billion
And
boat.
Fuck you, Sam Altman, for always looking like you need a wee.
I can sympathise. Anyway, what score are you giving the show out of 10 this week?
I have to compliment Sydney on her acting this week. I thought she was very good.
Absolutely.
6.5.
I'm going to give it 7.5. I think the acting was remarkable.
By Sydney.
Mm-hmm. I actually think that Ali King was good, and I thought that as you might not agree with everything that Swain was saying, but I think the acting was fairly top notch throughout that storyline. So, yeah. All right, let's wrap this one up then. This episode was brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast: Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christie, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Brittany Porter, Laurie Anna, Tina, Leah, Tara J, Fiona B, Canadian Jennifer, Josephine O'Tingy, Anne Greenwood, Trish R, Sarah Purbrick, Hunker Munker, Darren, the artist formerly known as Sailma Fridge, Pamela, Mars JT, Tom Ambrose, Christopher Anstey, Terry in LA, Joe T, Corey Dales, Matthew McInerney, Welsh Emma, Matthew S, Rachel B, Uranium Jennifer, Catherine Monchero, Gary Heatley, Pam but not that one, Una, Amy, Jenny Roll, Aussie Ali,
Wait.
Chris Horrocks, Cameron from Edmonton, Matt Birch, Library Jen, Jack DeMarner, David MacArthur, Saskatchewanian Karina, Rebecca, Upper Danes, Jem, Iona, Anthony and Charlie.
Whew.
All in one breath.
Well done.
With maybe a couple of small ones. Thank you ever so much, folks, for your support. We very much appreciate it. If you've ever fingered a cream horn in a cafe, write in to tell us about it. We're the Talk of the Street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky, or you can reach us the old-fashioned way, the Talk of the Street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan 48827. Our spoiler show will be available shortly after this one, and in this month's classics, we're talking about episode 144. Get access to this exclusive content by becoming a friend of the podcast. Find all the links at corriepodcast.com, and be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
We're in our Stomp Clap era.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
Talk of the Street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.